coming very, very soon. So got a very special guest on today for everyone, guys, inside the Project Limitless group. We've got Georgia, who's obviously one of the team members inside of the group. She signed up very much at the start and was very excited to join in and develop her knowledge further on macros. But the reason I've got Georgia on today, guys, is because she has achieved a lot in a short space of time. Is it February you started your own kind of journey?
Yeah, I would say coming up about 6 months.
Yeah, amazing. She's done amazing. So I'm sure all of you guys will be following her on Instagram after. I'll get her Instagram up as well, just to give everyone a visual of, the things she's done and the things she does on a daily basis with her foods and her tracking and the mindset kind of stuff. It's brilliant. But just to give you a bit of a background on Georgia, the point of this interview is so you guys can relate to someone who started off just like all of you, who started off from the beginning not knowing anything about nutrition, and she's able to generate this results in less than 6 months. And I just wanted you guys to see, because I understand, taking it from me, I've been doing this a long time. So people can maybe look at me and think, well, Sammy, he's been, doing this for 10 years. He's got degrees, it's harder for me. I wanted you guys to see that there's someone like Georgia who can start off right from the bottom, just like all of you did, and you can get amazing results, So I'm gonna share my screen so you can see Georgia's Instagram profile, and we'll just start. Can you see what I'm doing, Georgia? Can you?
Yeah, I can see it.
So I'm gonna get your page on Instagram. And I'm going to start with this post right here. So you posted that the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, yesterday.
So the first thing I want to ask you, the first thing I wanted to go about that you can tell the guys is, what was your nutrition like at the start before your journey? So that top photo, the first Georgia that you posted there, what was your life like then in terms of your nutrition, your mindset, your relationship with food? Just take us right back to the beginning. Give us an insight of what your life was like then.
I'd say for starters, I've never had a good relationship with food. It's never been unhealthy to the point, where binging and, low self-esteem, etc. It's been a complete lack of consideration for whatever I was putting in my body. I did not give a shit, to be honest, literally. So I think, I've never cared, but I've never been overweight. I've always been kind of, well, for example, like since I lost the weight, I've had so many people say to us, I didn't even know you had the weight to lose. Because I think I covered it up quite well. I was kind of like a normal size 12. There was nothing about me that you'd kind of look at us and think, wow, she's really unhealthy. And it's not until now that I look back at that picture and you just don't even recognize yourself. I mean, around that time, I was thinking about this the other day, and my sort of daily routine would be, I work on Team Valley. I've got an office job in finance. So I'd go to work half an hour early just so I could go to McDonald's and have 2 sausage and egg McMuffins, 2 hash browns, so I could eat them before I even got to work, and then I'd get to work and I'd have my normal breakfast. Do you know what I mean? And then lunch, I'd bring in some lunch, but then I'd also go out. I'd get crisps, pop, sweets. I'd come home, I'd have something in the cupboard before me tea, and then I'd have a huge tea, or most nights a takeaway. And it wasn't even an unhealthy relationship with food in terms of my appearance or anything like that. It was just a complete lack of consideration for my own health. I've never ate well ever in my life. I can honestly say that. Vegetables, you were lucky maybe on a Sunday dinner if I went out for Sunday dinner. No water. I was constantly dehydrated. So looking back at that photo for me and why I posted it is because it's just, like you say, in such a short space of time, doing little changes over a long period of time, not long, but like 6 months,
consistent period of time. I
can't even recognize myself. To me, I don't even know who that girl is anymore, and it's really, really strange. It's a strange feeling, and it's not just how I look, it's just, like you say, it's the complete lifestyle change. Like, I was so lazy, I wouldn't move anywhere, I was barely walking anywhere. The only reason I walk places is because I can't drive, so I think if I could drive, then that would have been a worse situation. But I would come home, I wouldn't do anything, I wouldn't plan anything with my friends. I would come home, have my tea and go to sleep, and then wake up and do it again the next day. So
I think you made a really good point there. I mean, we'll touch on the mindset change that you've had, because this is what I teach, obviously, in my one-on-one program. It's a combination between getting your nutrition right, helping you track your macros, but then also helping your mindset as well. And the two are massively linked. You can understand that, Georgia, can't you? When you improve your nutrition, your mental health improves as well. But we'll touch on that later. I just want to go over a great point that you made. You said your relationship with food obviously was bad, but it wasn't bad to where you were massively unhappy. Where you were massively overweight. You wouldn't look at you and say, oh, you're overweight. You just wouldn't do that, would you? But to you, you understand now that it still wasn't making you happy. You knew you could improve the way you look and felt. So being overweight or being unhappy with the way you look, it's all relative really to the individual, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So what one person's idea of, oh, I would love to look like that, is another idea's person of, oh, I never want to look like that, So you have to understand that for you guys listening, that it's all relative. Everyone has their own idea in their mind of how they want to look and what they are most comfortable with. And yes, you would look at you Georgia, then and say, well, you weren't overweight whatsoever. A lot of people who are maybe were overweight, they would look at you and say, oh, well, you've got no business losing weight, because they maybe get a little bit triggered that you are actually wanting to lose weight when they wish they could look like you. There's an element of that going on, but you have to understand it's all relative to each individual. Some people, they want to be, in shape than others, and that's fine. But you have to understand that it's relative to you. And I think you'll admit that even though you didn't have a terrible relationship with food, it was enough to make you unhappy and go, right, I need to change this.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, especially when it started. If I had to sort of pinpoint one time sort of in February, which made us think, right, it's time to do something now, it would be, I was invited to one of my really good friends' birthdays. And I was invited like 3 weeks in advance, and 3 weeks in advance, I said no. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want anyone to see us. I knew getting ready, just going out, being around people, I didn't feel myself mentally or physically. And I just thought, Jesus Christ, like I isolated myself so much because of food. And it's just such a stupid thing, because I think very much then, I didn't realize at the time, but now looking back, the happiness I got was from overeating. It was from going out for food, takeaways, and going out and drinking as well. That is the only sort of sources of happiness that I had at the time, and I would have never admitted that then, because when you're doing it, you're just eating food. It's not a big deal. But looking back now that I don't do it anymore, and I found happiness and contentment in other things that I do, I look back and I think, wow, like how much I relied on that side of things. And then, like I say, when I was physically, I didn't want to leave the house, not only because of how I looked, but just how I felt about myself mentally, and kind of I was drained, I was constantly dehydrated, I just wanted to lie in bed all day. That was kind of when I was like, wow, you're missing out on really good things because of the way your lifestyle is. And it wasn't enjoyable for me or anyone around us whatsoever. So that was kind of the big point for me to change it.
I think you brought on a great point there. Obviously, you're in my main group as well, Georgia, because me and you will work together briefly last year. But you see the videos I post inside there. And one of the main things I talk about a lot is the fact that food and drink and these social occasions is literally our number one source of comfort. From the day we were born, any kind of social occasion, any kind of happiness, even sadness, it's food straight away. So we are dealing with, as advanced humans in a civilized country, let's face it, we are dealing with the behavior pattern, the repeated behavior pattern of all our lives of food for everything to make us feel better. And that is the biggest challenge when it comes to nutrition. And this is one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on and talk about this, because the last 3 weeks inside Project Limitless, obviously we've learned about macros, we've learned about calories, what the tips and tricks are, the do's, the don'ts, how to track. I think that's been the main thing that people have loved. But you know yourself, there is barriers that can stop you from putting what you learn into real life, and comfort is one of them. If you can't break the mental habit of reaching for food to alleviate your stress, or keeping that as your main source of happiness, is like what you've said, whatever you learned inside this program or anything to do with nutrition, it's not gonna change, is it? So you reached that point where you were like, right, did you know much about nutrition at all at the start, or was it from scratch?
Nothing.
Scratch,
Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
So let's start with that then. So what was the looking from what you know now, what was the 3 biggest mistakes that you made when you started your journey?
Oh God, so many. Do you know the main thing is as well, I wish I had this program at the start. I mean, I'm glad that I've been on the journey that I have been on, but my God, it would have saved us so much time and so much pain if I'd known what I was doing, which is why I think this is brilliant. Because I mean, for example, when I started my diet February 4th, I remember the day that I started it, and I was eating 1,000 calories a day. I thought, right, that's it. I'm chopping down and everything. I'm eating 1,000 calories. Now, that was my first mistake, was restricting myself far too much for the first couple of months, because I hit a huge plateau. I did damage my metabolism a little bit. It bounced back straight away. But and obviously it wasn't enjoyable for me whatsoever. But that being said, I also wasn't counting calories in oil, wasn't counting calories in butter, nothing like that. I was, you know, if I went out for a drink on the weekend, to me, there was no calories in a drink. It was a drink, you know. So definitely that. So the first one would be restricting myself too much and not doing enough research on what I should have been putting into my body calories wise. Secondly, it would be the mindlessness of some of the calories that I was eating. And third, I used to, it's ridiculous now that I know what I do now, but I used to go to the gym, like round the corner from where I live, at me old community school. And basically they've got a tiny gym, no one ever goes in it, so that was the only reason I went. I think I wouldn't have ever gone to like a big gym group, nothing like that. But I used to go, and I used to put my iPad on the treadmill, and for 2 hours I used to stand and walk on an incline. I'd burn loads and loads of calories, but then in turn I would add them onto my MyFitnessPal. So when I look back, I was restricting my food to about 1,000 calories a day, but then I wasn't counting the calories, you know, that I was cooking with, or, you know, tiny dashes of sauce, anything like that. And then on top of that, I was eating back my calories. So it was pain all day. You know, I would literally have, for me breakfast, I would have a yogurt. For me dinner, I would have soup, and then I'd come home and have whatever the family was having, but a small, tiny portion of it. And then I'd go to the gym, stand and walk for 2 hours on the treadmill, and then come home and eat it back in snacks. So the sort of cycle that I was in at the very beginning, although I'm grateful for it now, at the time I do look back and think, if only I'd just took the time to do a little bit more research, or, you know, do some coaching. And it goes back to, like you say, like last year, me and my partner's brother's girlfriend, we joined your program.
I remember.
And I think I'd kind of been dieting for a couple of weeks, well, about 6 weeks, and I'd lost 2 pounds because I didn't have a clue. So I'd kind of been dieting. I was like, right, I think now's the time. I want to get a coach. I'd seen you everywhere. I was like, right, I think it's a really good idea, amazing results. And then I think when I'd seen the plan that you wrote out, because you'd said to us as well, you'd said you're eating far too little calories. And you'd also said, like, give us a list of foods that you like. And I think in my foods that I liked, I put like chicken, broccoli, all of the stuff that I thought I should be putting down. And I think, I gave up within like 2 weeks. And I think, had I known that if I'd just said to you, look, I really like eating A, B, and C, can you fit it into my diet plan, I would have started this journey a lot sooner. But I kind of seen it, all I saw in my head was restrictions. And like, you know, I told you chicken and broccoli, so you'd put chicken and broccoli on my meal plan, and I was like, well, I don't want to do that. And instead of coming to you for advice that I'd paid for, rather than doing that again, I just gave up. And for another year, basically, because it wasn't until, you know, February when I kind of started it up again. So I think just knowing, I wish I knew more about a calorie deficit and the basics of how you lose weight, because never in my mind did I think, I mean, I remember when I first learned about a calorie deficit, I thought you physically had to go to the gym and burn off more calories than you were eating. I didn't know about your meat or anything like that. So I was just completely clueless. So I wish I knew more about that. And also I wish I didn't restrict myself so much. But I think it was okay for me in my journey, because I'm in a mindset now where it is a lifestyle, and I was very much all or nothing. I was like, I'm doing this, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, doesn't matter what I have to do. If I have to eat 500 calories a day, I was going to do it. But obviously a lot of people aren't in that situation. A lot of people don't have that sort of epiphany moment where you're like, right, I'm just going to do it. So it's not healthy for most people, but for me, I just got to that sort of breaking point where I was like, I don't care what I have to do, I'm doing it. And I did it, and I'm here, but it could have been a lot easier.
I mean, you brought up a few good points there, which I'll touch over, but the low calories to start with, I mean, I think we covered this in the very first week someone answered the question. It might be you, actually.
I think it was.
Yeah, about if you go so low, can it potentially damage your metabolism? Obviously, I said in the short term it can be classed as damage, but it can be easily reversed just by either building a little bit of muscle strength training, giving yourself a small surplus, or going into a maintenance phase for a little bit, and it starts to correct itself. But your metabolism is an adaptation, machine, if you want to call it a machine. It'll just adapt to what stresses it's got available, so if you feed it, it will adapt to suit that demand. If you exercise more, it will have to increase to cope with that demand. If you starve yourself, you might get some fast weight loss at first, but if your metabolism has a voice, it will be saying this: shit, I'm not getting the energy I need, I'm gonna have to chill out a little bit, so it pulls up the chair and sits down. That's what it does essentially, and that's how you probably experience that, doing the low calories. But you've mentioned that, you made mistakes at the start, but this is the way I look at it. You have to make those mistakes to understand how you can improve. If you learn from it, you would have still been doing the same thing right now. So it's almost a good mentality you have to have. But yeah, you also mentioned a good point, the under tracking of butters and oils and things. So for anyone on my coaching programs, I tell them, don't add oils to your food. It's a waste of time, because a tablespoon of olive oil, if you're cooking with that, you see the macros in olive oil, a tablespoon.
I would honestly, hand on my heart, I would never touch oil again. Now that I've got Fry Light and even a dash of water, I will never touch oil again, because it's just not worth the calories. That's something I say all the time.
15 grams of fat in 1 tablespoon of oil. And so you've seen people cook. Are you seeing Jamie Oliver cook?
It's just pouring it all in.
He's like, a little bit more of that. I'm like, Jesus, and he's advertising healthy school meals. This is the misinformation, isn't it? That you get at the start. This is why people obviously sign up. It's this misinformation of healthy food, but also not even being mindful of calories and macros. So yes, olive oil and things, as rapeseed oil, very healthy. But do you want to waste 15 grams of fat on a tablespoon of oil, or even more if you added more? Coconut oil's another one. So it's little things like that where you're not actually tracking those little items, and people have put full fat meal. I'm not tracking that, and it's like, well, you've got to. So this is what I recommend, just to touch on that before we move on. Don't cook with oils. If you have to cook with oils, do a fry light, or try and do like a little bit of water, like you said, and just flavour it up in the pan. Or Active Fry, they're quite good. I don't know if you've seen them. You can cook things.
Yeah, I've got one.
Halogen oven, things like that, grill things. Your cooking methods can massively dictate. Like, I'd give someone a plan, if they wanted a tailor-made plan, be like, chicken and, a bit of salad or whatever it is, and if they decided to cook the chicken in oil, that totally changes the game of that nutrition. That's not under track. And it's like, well, you could be setting your calories really low, but in reality, you're actually not eating that. So that's maybe what you are doing. You are starving yourself of foods that you actually wanted to eat to fill you up, but you are probably adding 500-600 calories extra of things that you didn't even realize. So you were kind of just going around in circle, and that's how you hit that plateau. So anyone watching right now, that's the biggest thing you got to understand. I'm not saying you have to track everything, because my rules. I've said if sauces are really low calories, just do a little serving size and don't worry about it. Don't put lettuce on the scale. It's a little bit, don't worry about it. But things like that, if you're adding it in, you've got to be mindful of these liquid calories and these oil calories and condiments, because they will add up. So the first thing I'll say right now is, are you really following those calories? If you hit a plateau, ask yourself that question. Am I really following those calories, or am I half-arsing it a little bit? Am I pretending that I'm not going past the fridge and getting a tablespoon of peanut butter when I walk out? Because people do that, you know what I mean? I'm sure I've seen a study, it was like 40%, most people underreport their calorie intake by about 40%. And that's just through these little things that they're not even realizing. So you touched on a great point there. But obviously you've got the knowledge now to where you know that you have the things you need to track and the things you don't need to track. And everyone else should now as well. So yeah, moving on to the next part, where am I? So when did you first start learning about macros? Where did you first hear macros, like the term macros and calories in MyFitnessPal?
MyFitnessPal is something I've had for a couple of years, and it's just one of those apps that I've just sat on my phone. I've barely used it. I've used it a couple of times. And I think at the very start, I just started putting in what I was eating more as a food diary rather than as calories or anything like that.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people start. It's good for that. At least it gives you an idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then as it started to develop, I think it wasn't until maybe 2-3 months into the journey that I'd started to sort of think. I noticed the correlation between the weight loss and the calories, and that's when I remember I just thought, right, I'd hit a plateau. And I'd done loads of research on the internet, on YouTube, watched loads of videos, and it said obviously just to up my calories.
Yeah.
So I remember I went to 1,200 calories, which is like this magic number that everybody talks about. And
it's still very low, that, especially for your expenditure.
massively low, especially bearing in mind at the time I was walking an hour on the treadmill a day, incline, burning like 600 calories on the treadmill. But anyways, I upped it by 200 calories and the weight just dropped off straight away. So then I was like, right, okay, I'll up it again. And I did 1,350, which is kind of where I've floated at for a little while. But bearing in mind, again, it's still low, but it's something that I'm kind of working on, just in terms of eating, because obviously after 6 months now I have ate the kind of the same sort of amount of food. But macros, not until this program, because for me, and something I would say to people as well, if macros was a huge struggle for me to kind of get my head around.
Of course.
So for me, the first kind of 4 or 5 months of it all was calorie counting. And I would say if you really do struggle with the macros that much, obviously prioritize protein, and you don't even have to kind of track it, just knowing that what protein is, meats, yogurt, protein shakes. But even if you just start by keeping an eye on the calories, that for me was a game changer. It made me not restrict anything. Now I don't restrict anything, but I'm more mindful of what I'm eating and what I'm putting into my body, because I've recently started weight training. So I know I need protein, obviously from the program that we're doing. I know now that carbs is key when weight training, and that's something that I focused on now as well. But more in terms of the weight is kind of off now, which is obviously I'm really grateful for. Not a lot of people are in the same position, but now I can focus less on weight and the scales, and I can focus more on what I'm putting into my body and the positives that it's going to bring to the training that I'm doing, and also my general health as well. Like since doing it, like since learning about macros, I'm obsessed with like reading books about what greens are good for what part of your body, how you can prevent heart disease, kidney failure, all of this. And I think that getting to that point in the journey has allowed us to kind of eat 3 meals a day, and they can be completely whole foods, you know, loads of veg, loads of protein, but on a night time I'll still have my ice cream and my Fibre One bar, and that's what I look forward to at the end of the day. I don't restrict it. It makes us feel normal when I'm sat, you know, watching the telly and I've got something to eat that I like. And I think one thing, like, just to say to everybody especially, would be you don't have to stop eating the foods that you normally eat. It's just being mindful of the amount that you're eating and trying to be more beneficial to you. Like, you don't want to be unhappy doing this, because it'll never ever work.
Sorry, I just interrupt you there, Georgia. If you rely on willpower to get you through a diet, you'll fail every time. You might get away with it the first week, you might get away with it the second week, but you bet your bottom dollar willpower is going to be knocking on the door sooner or later, and you're going to go sod it, and you're going to fall off track.
It doesn't even exist, Sam. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, people always say to me, how do you stay so motivated? And I'm like, I'm not motivated. There's no such thing. Like, I just do what I need to do, and some days it's more of a task than others. But if you really want to hit a goal, whether it be sort of, at first for me it was weight loss, now it's more health, like general health. But obviously, like I say, if you want to hit that weight loss goal, whether you want to look better, or you just want to feel better, or you want to fit into like an old pair of jeans, if you want it badly enough, you'll do it, and you won't be motivated most days. You'll have to drag yourself out of bed to do it, but you'll find a way. And like I say, by not restricting any foods, or, you know, going out or anything like that, it makes it 10 times easier, because it is hard. It's not easy. It's a hard thing to do. So definitely learning about, like, especially in Project Limitless, like knowing how to go out for meals and not go home and feel like you've failed and you can just give up on your diet. I think that's so essential for people to know, because there's so many people. I mean, you'll know yourself how many people start diets and never end them, because
of course, I mean, I've worked with over pushing 600 people in 2 years now, and obviously you are one of those people. I mean, you'll admit yourself, you signed up, it wasn't for you, and you didn't ask questions, you just kind of give up, which it's worked out well in the end. I'm almost glad you did that, because you wouldn't be where you are right now if you didn't. So it's silver lining in that things, but 100%, you know, and that's the reason why people do it. They rely on motivation. You made a great point there. Motivation doesn't even exist. What motivation means is you perceive more benefits to doing something than not. It's that simple. So if people say they're not motivated, you're just not understanding the benefits. So if you feel you're not motivated to stick to your diet, I'll just give people a bit of coaching now while I'm here. If anyone of you think that you're not motivated to follow your diet, ask yourself this question: what is the impact of me not following this diet? And how is that going to make me feel? And do you value feeling like that more than just actually doing it and getting the results that you want?
Yeah, 100%.
Discipline and motivation are two totally different things. Motivation is like willpower. You have to rely on it. Your motivation will change when your energy's high. When you've got high energy, you're motivated. When you've had a bit of a bad day, a hard day at work, that's when you just start justifying, I can't be bothered. But if you understood the impact of that, you would always be motivated, because you're not willing to feel the way you don't want to feel. So that's what it is. But you made a good point as well about the fact you shouldn't restrict yourself. And the way I like to put it is the healthy meals that you do, make yourself 3 nice meals a day that are whole, nutrient-dense food, and save your remaining calories for your snacks. Health and snacks, that's the way to do it. Hot, solid, healthy meals that everyone knows healthy and that you like and that fits your numbers, and save 400 or 500 calories for the goodies. That is the best way to diet for the majority of people. Maybe professional athletes who want to take their health to the next level, maybe they want to cut out the ice cream and that chocolate and they want to eat whole solid food, probably better for performance. But for people like us who just want to live a healthy lifestyle, get in shape and live a life, not restricting myself, healthy diet plus junk snacks, 80-20, it's the perfect way of describing it. 80% whole healthy foods, using foods that are classed as diet foods that make you feel good, by the way, because they do. What you put in your mouth is gonna create the level of mindset you have upstairs, and then save yourself a little bit of calories where you've got the mindset where you think, what, I'm gonna have half a tub of that Ben and Jerry's or a couple of scoops, and I'm gonna be able to have a chocolate bar a day. But I'm happy to say that I've followed my nutrition and I've also hit me snacks that I like and I feel great. That's once you've got that mindset, George, and once you've experienced it, this is like second nature. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning. You just do it.
Yeah, I don't know now knowing what I know, I don't know how I ever live like I did before. I know for a fine fact I'll never go back to that lifestyle because there's no need. There really isn't. Overeating, and it sounds kind of horrible, there's no excuse for it really, like at all. Especially obviously there's the knowledge side of it, and obviously I didn't know anything that I knew then now.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of how you, like you say, you never feel good really after eating a really bad meal. You always feel terrible, especially if you are in a situation where you're not happy with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never feel good after eating that meal unless you have that 80-20 balance where you've got the goodness coming through for 80% of the time. Then you can happily enjoy that 20%. And when I say like enjoy it, you really do enjoy it. Like I look forward to it. I know I've earned it, and I know that I'm not going to feel guilty about it, because it's just living a healthy, balanced lifestyle.
That's the key. That's the key.
It is.
Non-guilt that you have, that's taking your mindset to the next level. And you hit a good point there. When you eat junk food repetitively, it doesn't make you feel good. You have to think of your body, and especially your mindset, totally linked. It's like a machine. What are you putting in your body? If you're putting in junk, what do you think you're going to feel upstairs?
Yeah.
What do you think that's having on your confidence, your mindset, your mental health? If people suffer with anxiety and things like that, for getting a bit more deeper into negative emotions, look at your diet.
Yeah. That was a massive thing for me.
Your diet. It's key. That's one of the most important things. And there's not enough people out there who are talking about healthy nutrition, but also nutrition that's applicable to people, rather than like it's an unrealistic goal to ask people to live like athletes. Like if I just give people a diet with chicken and rice, 3 times a day with no treats, yes, they would probably feel good if they ate it, but mentally they're just not getting the reward of living a balanced lifestyle. So it's key for your mindset and your mental health to be able to eat healthy food that makes you feel good and helps you create positive emotions, but also have the discipline to be able to go, what, I want a chocolate bar and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Once you have that, you're able to do so much more in your life. The impact that having a healthy nutrition plan on your mindset, and then actually being able to be aligned with yourself psychologically, where you're not dealing with stress, you're not succumbing to comfort eating. You're just like, what, this is my life now, and I feel amazing. I think you probably testify for this. How much other areas of your life has improved since you've improved your nutrition?
100%. I was just about to say as well, your life shouldn't revolve around food. It really shouldn't. Food, at the end of the day, is what we eat to survive.
I know, that's it.
we're in a good position in a Western world where we can have the luxury of being able to enjoy food. In other countries, they literally eat to survive, and that's the kind of the basics I had to take myself back to, because your life shouldn't revolve around your weight, your food, and the thing is, it goes hand in hand. If your life doesn't revolve around food, and you eat a balanced, healthy lifestyle, having a takeaway on the weekend isn't the best thing since sliced bread. It's just, you just eat because you're hungry and you want to fuel your body. Then, like you say, your mindset, you'll find so many other things that you can do, and things that you never even thought you were interested in, because instead of waiting for the weekend so you can go out and have a drink and go to a restaurant, as nice as that is on occasion, it's not, your life shouldn't revolve around that. And when it does, that's when the scales start to catch up on you, and you start to get caught up about that, because it goes hand in hand. The scales will reflect your lifestyle.
If you're not happy with how you look, you have to look at your lifestyle. It's not an accident. So if anyone is in a position to where they're unhappy with the way they look, the first thing you need to do, and this is not having a go by all means, it's just accepting, I am here because this is exactly what I've done to get here. And the decision you have to make is, well, what have I done? Reverse it, like look back, reflect. What habits have I had? Right, that's the habits that's led me to be here. And if you want to get to this other destination that's, not where you are right now, you have to change those habits. And, that's all it is. Like you say, in a Western world, it's a behavior habit. Ever since the day we were born, moms would give us food to shut us up. Oh, there's some sweets, shut up. That kind of stuff. That we've been battling that our whole life. So no wonder there's so many people who approach adulthood, have got no idea about healthy food, they've got no idea about nutrition, and they've been addicted almost without even realizing to reaching for food to make themselves feel better at any opportunity. If you're sad, you eat food. If you're happy, you eat. If you're having a social occasion, you eat. You go out to your nana's house, you eat because she gives you 20 biscuits. That's what life. So breaking that habit's so hard, but you have to understand the link between that habit and the way you feel. And if you're overweight, I'm the first one to admit, right, inside my one-to-one coaching program, I say, I get you to feel good, okay, then you'll look good. If you feel good, positive and happy, you'll look your best, because you'll be able to deal with these stressful situations. But having said that, if you are overweight and you are unhappy with the way you look, you need to do something about that, because that's what's holding you back mentally. No one wants to be out of shape. No one wants to be overweight. It shatters your confidence. You know what I mean? Confidence is created. So if you are low in confidence, or you've got low body confidence, the only way that that's going to change is if you get a handle on your nutrition and actually create the body that you want. And that's anyone can do that. There's nothing holding people back except this habit they've got with reaching food for comfort. And if people are able to understand that you don't have to reach for food for comfort, you're able to increase your confidence, lower anxiety, lower depression, increase body confidence, and it just has so much of an impact on all of and on your life. Every single aspect of your life will improve if you improve your nutrition. That's how strongly I feel about nutrition.
Me too now, honestly. And I think a really good way to think about it as well, that actually I've not thought about until you've just said that. If you think about, for somebody who's at the start of their journey now, like if you think about how easy it is of a habit for you to eat bad food, to go out for a drink, to have all of these habits that are second nature, think about how easy, and it won't take any strength in the mind if you make those habits good habits. So as easy as it is for you now to order a takeaway, imagine how easier and more balanced your lifestyle will be if it's just as easy to make a good meal. And that's the stage that I've definitely got to, like, it doesn't take any effort anymore. I'm not sat there like,
because you perceive the benefits in it.
Yeah,
benefits of doing that mentally and physically, so that's why it's nothing for you. The only people who see that as an effort is because they're not actually understanding that there's benefits to that. They see more benefits in reaching for a takeaway because it's easy, it's convenient. Convenience kills people, it kills dreams. Convenience kills confidence, because we'll have to break this habit of just convenient. That's what's holding people back. So it's amazing that you are on the same page now with that. That's how strongly I feel about nutrition. If people improve their knowledge on nutrition, we would have less depression in the world, less anxiety. I dare say it, even less suicides and things like that, because body confidence is huge. How many 100%. People, especially young people, they're on their phones all day, they're comparing themselves to these models. I mean, as a female, you can relate to that as well.
Oh, definitely.
It's so toxic. And how that would all change if people understood nutrition.
Yeah, definitely.
It's huge.
No, I totally agree with that.
Well, that was a great bit of insight that we had there for you guys watching. Okay, so let's get back on the macro tracking. So the biggest challenges when you first started in terms of foods, what was that? And how did you overcome that barrier?
Biggest challenge in terms of food, I think definitely, like I said before, is n- not knowing that you can eat everything that you want in moderation.
Yeah,
Sort of I think knowing about macros is knowing like it's such a good tool to have, because you can eat like you're showing, like that is so nice, and I've got chocolate on there, but I've
yeah,
also got other things that are really, really nutritious and that are going to help me with my health and fitness. But also there's other days, like if I can't be bothered to cook anything, and it's not every day, it doesn't look like that with
yeah,
pancakes and things like that. I normally
of
do that
course.
on a Saturday, because I've got the time when I'm not at work. But also kind of just knowing that if I don't have time, I can still fit other things into my macros. So like a huge thing for me is like frozen food that I can just put in the oven, is like,
Yeah, yeah,
so in terms of like corn chicken nuggets, I really enjoy, because they're so low in calories. It's something that you can quickly just chuck in the oven. But then, like I say, lockdown's been a huge blessing for me. Obviously, it hasn't been for a lot of people, but having the time, I think, to do and cook all of this food. I mean, it's crazy even sitting here talking about it like this, because 6 months ago I couldn't cook anything.
I know,
I
because
literally
it's
couldn't.
amazing, honestly, Georgia, to see. This is why I wanted to get you on, because
Yeah,
to see your development, from someone who I remember, joined my program last year, and I'm just going to say it, half-arsed it, didn't put the effort
yeah,
in, and then
less
to
than half off.
in a couple of months, I was blown away, So
Yeah, I remember you saying.
it's amazing to see, and you hit the nail on the head there. Like, you can still make healthy, tailor-made food. And I know you said lockdown has been a blessing in disguise for you. Obviously, it hasn't for a lot of people. We know the situation that's gone on. But you made the choice of, well, this is the situation. I can't control this. But what can I do is at least work on myself. And you decided to do that. And look what you've created in
Yeah,
such a short space of time. You now know that regardless of how you feel, regardless of maybe what things you've got in the house, you can always come up with something that hits your numbers. So
yeah.
how consistent would you say you've been in the last, since you really started tracking? Is it every day you are bang on, or do you have little cheat meals here and there, and where you go over a little bit?
I don't like it's because it doesn't sound very like sort of relatable, but to be completely honest, I've been 100% bang on. I don't have a cheat meal. I haven't had a takeaway since January.
Yeah,
I just obviously it's not that case for a lot of people, and I totally understand that. I just kind of got the motivation that I needed. It's something that I really wanted to do.
yeah,
So and I've never felt the need to kind of binge out on a takeaway, because like you're showing there, that pizza is so nice. Like I
yeah,
think the base of that pizza is like 30 calories, and it's just as nice. And I save that for a Friday night, and I cook it. I put whatever I want on it. I'm saving 20-30 quid, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing now.
yeah,
At the start, I did have a few temptations. It was more, and rather than going out for takeaways, it was more like going out with my friends for food. It's something that I really enjoy doing, which I'm
yeah, yeah,
glad lockdown took away from us, because otherwise I think it could have gone in a very different direction.
yeah,
But in terms of numbers though, like I've always been on point with my calories in the past like 3-4 months since I learned more about them. But macros is only a very recent thing that I've been on point with, in probably the past month since I started this program, maybe
yeah.
just a little bit before.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll just touch on that a little bit there, because you made a good point. I always say this, like macros, yes, you should be tracking those. If anyone was to say, is like, oh, what's more important, macros or calories, I would go, well, macros, because if you hit the macros, you hit the calories
the
by default.
calories.
However, if circumstances permit, where maybe you're not confident in hitting, just hit the protein and make sure the calories match up to what your goal is. You're still gonna get the same results. It might not affect recovery as good, like if you're not increasing your carbs to be around your workout and things like that, but that's small percentages. So I'll just say to everyone watching right now, if you're ever stuck, hit your protein and just hit your calories. George has proved that you can still drop a lot of weight successfully and have a great relationship with food just off hitting calorie targets. They're essentially the same thing. You really want to fine tune it for even better results and a better kind of adherence to food. Do the macros, but if you're struggling, start off with calories. You will learn to get more.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, like with calories are macros, macros are
Yeah,
calories.
they're the
So
same
it
thing.
doesn't
They're the
matter
same
which
thing. Yeah,
way you start with it. Like I started with calories because I found it easier. I didn't have a lot of knowledge. I didn't have this program, so I started with the calories. But you can't track calories without tracking macros. It goes hand in hand. It just takes a little bit longer to pick things up. So like I say, it's only in the past month I've really focused on, you know, getting the macros in, because I've learned through the program and other bits of research I've been doing that it is important, especially if you're training and things like that. But like you say, if you really struggle, you don't have the time, you don't really have, like, I mean, I now have a huge passion for nutrition. I don't know, literally, if you told me that was going to happen 6 months ago, it would have been bizarre. I really do. It's something that I'm hoping to study at university in September. Like, it's something that I'm really interested in. But a lot of people don't. It's, you know, it's a very particular thing. Like, I'm not interested in, you know, other things, cars, whatever. So if you don't have that passion for knowing what you're eating and, you know, nutrition as a whole, which is completely normal, by the way, obviously.
Then
like,
not everyone's going to be as dedicated as what me and you are. That's totally cool.
No,
get great results, not being nowhere near as dedicated as what we are. You can still get amazing results just from doing the basics.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's good to take away from this program, like you say, the basics, and just knowing how to stay accountable basically for what you're eating. You don't have to, you know all about grains and pulses and what vegetables are better for what. It really doesn't matter. It's more about balance. And
great point.
Like you say, we're living in a Western world where everyone's busy, everyone's on the go, people have kids, you know, macros isn't the first thing on everybody's mind. So it's like you say, hitting your protein and then letting the numbers follow is much better than sort of beating yourself up about not hitting your numbers completely on point every single day.
That's a great point, Georgia. I mean, that's why that's when I said at the start of this program, I'll tell you the bits you need to know, and I don't feel like I've put a bit of science here, but enough that you need to know to get results. But there would be no point in me talking about, this is the perfect vegetable to eat to you know, bring up this physiological response. This helps with that, you know, that disease, and this, you know. Even I forgot, to be honest, I'd done nutrition at university 3 years ago. I would have to get my head in a book and start re-jogging my memory, because relating it to actual coaching people, they don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't need to know that. So it's great if you've got that. If you want to push your knowledge further on nutrition, wonderful. It'll help you results. And if you're passionate about it, great. But for the majority of people, you know, what do you need to know? You need to know what food groups are, and you need to know numbers. And you just need to understand the fact that if you hit a calorie intake that actually works for your body, you'll drop body fat. That's it. That's it. So, you know, so that's the biggest take-home message for people from this program that I wanted them to take away, is that if you stick to the calorie goal that you know works, not just tracking for the sake of tracking, because I've had people do that as well. Oh, Sam, I'm tracking my numbers. All right, what are your numbers? Oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, what's the point in tracking? You're just typing food into a diary, then you've got to be tracking numbers that work. So get your numbers that work. You might need to invest in some coaching to do that. But if you figure out some numbers and you stick to it and you're consistent with it most of the time, amazing results.
Definitely.
So but let's move on. So when did you start to feel confident? When did you start to feel like, right, I've got the hang of this now? So I think you mentioned before, like 2 or 3 months in, was it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking back, I think a huge thing as well is if you are on a sort of weight loss journey, pictures is like a huge thing. So I think when I started feeling confident with the numbers and the food that I was eating, and I knew I was tracking accurately as well, like I knew that I was in a calorie deficit, because like I say, you'll hit plateaus. I'm at a plateau now. I haven't dropped weight since the 28th of June. And it's really
you've been weight training though, haven't you?
I have, yeah, and it is really frustrating, but I know I can confidently sit here and say I know I'm in a calorie deficit, and it's just science that, you know, like you say, I'm weight training. A few things have changed in my lifestyle. I'm going back to work this week, etc. I've been getting a little bit less sleep, but I know that I can accurately track my calories now, so I know that my food isn't the problem, and that's when you can start focusing on other parts of your lifestyle. So I think when I got to the point where I had a good set of food skills, I knew what portion sizes, so you know, if I wasn't able or didn't have time to weigh everything out, I knew, you know, a handful of pasta, I knew what 5 grams of sauce was. That's when you can confidently sort of live your life and not be consumed by it to the point where it gets overwhelming and you want to quit because you think, right, I don't have time to track it, so I might as well just have what I want. I'll start again tomorrow. You don't end up starting again tomorrow. So I think just that knowledge allowed me to kind of, it's only recently, obviously with lockdown sort of easing a bit. I mean, I went to a restaurant last week and it was a little bit overwhelming, but at the same time, it's, me personally, I don't think I'd do it again in a rush because, you know, I went to Tomahawk Steakhouse in Newcastle and I got a superfood salad. And I was like, it's not for me until I'm really confident and I've hit my goals. I'm not there yet by any means. I think I've said a couple of times, I think I'll be in a deficit for maybe 1 or 2 more months, which is it's a huge time to be in a deficit. Like, it'll be most of the year I will have been, but at the same time, I want to get to the point where, you know, I can start upping my calories to maintenance a little bit. And I know that by doing that, I can't be going and having steak and chips at a restaurant. It's just not feasible. But at the same time, from learning what we have from the program, I think a lot of people now can confidently go to a restaurant and make better choices. So if you wanted to go and have a steak, brilliant, that's absolutely fantastic. But you could also get, instead of, you know, getting a side of chips and mac and cheese, get one or the other, or you can, you know, get veg on the side, whatever. I think the confidence in knowing your limits and the self-discipline is really important. And I think once you get to that stage as well, the kind of binging mentality of, you know, I'm going out, you know, I like to go out, I like to go and see my friends. So if every time I have to do that,
it's a social occasion. It doesn't have to be a binge-a-thon, you know what I mean? And that's
it's not about the food. Exactly. The world doesn't have to revolve around food. You know, I can go out, I can have a salad, and although I did resent paying £20 for a bloody salad, I enjoyed the time with my family. And it's like I say, it's not something I'll be doing again in a rush because I'm in a routine now that I really enjoy. I really enjoy the lifestyle. Cool. But for other people, I think knowing that you're confident enough with your numbers and with your tracking that you can go out for a meal and not feel terrible or fall off the bandwagon because of it. And even if you do, I think a huge thing for me as well, which I've only just noticed recently, if you don't hit your numbers, I think it's really important, maybe not all of the time depending on the situation, but say if you do make a few bad decisions or you go over your numbers, still track it. Because I think going back and having a look and you see
where you went wrong.
You see where you went wrong, and you can also see how a small amount of, I mean, like a couple of weeks ago, I was it was a night time and I'd been a bit ill that day. I had a bit of a headache. I was feeling like low on energy. So I had some chocolate. I'd finished my food for the day. You know, I do fasting, so I'd finished my food for the day, and I had some chocolate. And I remember it was like six bits of like high calorie chocolate, was like an extra 200-300 calories on my day. And I know now, looking back, if I ever have a day like that again, I will opt for a lower calorie option, just because I know now I can see the mistake that I've made. And even if you think, right, it was a one-off, moving on, it doesn't matter, start again the next day, at least you can look back at your journey and kind of know where you've been. I think knowing what's in food, whether it's good food or bad food, is important, whether you're eating broccoli or you're eating, you know, you're overeating on chocolate. I think just tracking everything, because that's the only way you can be really confident in what you're doing. Like you say, and I think with confidence comes, it's not even in how you look, it's knowing that you've got self-discipline, knowing that you've got the tools that you need to not make the mistakes that you previously have as well. So I think that's really important.
Confidence just comes from doing the work. You know, people always ask me as a coach, Sam, I've got no confidence, whether that's with their body, with just the way they feel, you know, talking to people and things. It's created, you know. How are you going to get more confident? It's through doing the things that challenge you a little bit. So if you feel like, oh, I'm not confident tracking macros, how do you think you're going to get more confident? It's by tracking them. So even if you're tracking them wrong, track them. Even if you're getting every time you do it, you learn and you think, right, okay, that's why. Don't just give up because it gets complicated. You know, that's what people need to realize. So you've got to stick with it. You have to have this resilience period where you're just starting. So the guys inside the program, I know some of them have been doing very well. Some of them struggle a little bit, which is fine, because they're learning straight from the start. But just be resilient with it, because once you get it, you'll feel it mentally when you reach that point where you're like, you know what? I get the hang of this now, and it's boom, it lifts your confidence so much, and that's when your results will go from there, just boom, straight up. You know, so you obviously reached that point just through sheer resilience, and even when you did miss track or over track and think, oh, I went over, you learned because you are just consistent with the logging of foods inside, just like that MyFitnessPal database you'll make on your phone. You're logging one in your mind as well every time. You know, so that's awesome. So moving on to the next question. What have you learned inside Project Limitless then? What's the top 3 things that you think you've took home from this program that you're going to introduce in your own life?
Me top one, which I can't believe I didn't know before, and it just proves that you're always learning about new stuff, was staple foods. Like, I used to always say, like, how can you track macros in the same way that you track calories, in terms of, do you have to like add up, you know, protein and this and this, instead of just adding the total calories? But now, since like 3 weeks ago, I've now got staple foods in my diet that I know are going to help me hit my numbers, and I think that was a huge thing, if not the biggest thing I've took from the program, is just getting to know your diet inside out. Like, if you like for me, the yogurt that you introduced us to, the fade yogurt, that to me now,
Instagram, just so we can see.
Yeah, definitely do, because that now allows me to hit my macros every single day. Like, knowing, you know, how much, like when you told us about the pasta recipe, lean mint.
That one there. That's a lovely tasty meal. If you went to an Italian restaurant, that would set you back probably triple the calories because of the amount of oil and cheese in. Imagine, you know, how long did that take you to prepare?
Literally 20 minutes. I mean, less than half an hour.
Amazing.
Literally no time at all. I put some herbs, spices, different bits into a pan with some chopped tomatoes, added some cherry tomatoes, bit of pasta, and that was literally it. And honestly, the portion size of that was huge. It was, like you say, it was even better than going to a restaurant, because you know it's clean, it's good, you're hitting your numbers. But at the same time, I was sat eating a big bowl of pasta, and I could have added cheese to it as well quite easily, but I wanted to have a bit of chocolate later on, and I didn't have enough fat. So you know, it depends what you want to do.
That's exactly what I want. If I was to say this is what I want people to learn from the program, it's this: you can cook very healthy, tasty meals that you could cook for the whole family, that you could do religiously. There's no need for you to eat unhealthy food. You can still get a little takeaway now and again, a restaurant now and again, of course, but there's literally nothing stopping you. All the information is out there now, especially from what I teach in here. The fact that we've got an app that can track it all forward, because 10 years ago, when I first started, well, just around about the time MyFitnessPal came up, before I actually discovered it, I was tracking with a pen and paper. I've got a protein bar here, so I was literally getting on the back of the packet going, right, I've got them in my room next door from when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
5 now, so 9 years ago, not 10. Literally, right, I had 20 grams of protein in that meal, 5 grams there, then adding it up on my cal. It was a fucking nightmare. Now we've got the ability to do this, and people still to try and say, come on, you've got everything at your disposal here. And that just shows you can make lovely, tasty meals that all, imagine if you said to someone with the misconception, oh, that's what I'm losing fat on, the go, oh, you can't have that, spaghetti bolognese, that's terrible.
Literally, I was just about to say, if you told me 6 months ago you can lose weight by eating a big bowl of spaghetti bolognese, I would have never ever believed you. And it just shows how much knowledge just improves your life so much. I think even before you start making the changes, if it's a lifestyle thing that you struggle with, take a couple of weeks to learn about it before you start implementing it, because the things you'll learn, I mean, even in terms of, obviously we've got the program and we've got the luxury of being able to ask you questions and things like that. Even for people who maybe can't afford to get a coach or a program, the amount of stuff on YouTube that you can watch to learn about nutrition and calorie deficits is unbelievable, because that's what I started doing. I just read, I learned along the way, and obviously it's easier to not make mistakes when you're part of a program like this, which is brilliant. But like I say, if you'd have told me in February that I'd be eating things like this now and looking how I do now, I would have never correlated the two, because I had such a bad idea of diet. It's not a diet that you want, it's a lifestyle.
Great point you've made. That's one of the biggest questions I get as a coach. Sam, I got one 2 days ago, actually. A girl signed up for the program. I went, what questions you've got? She was ready to commit. I went, what questions you've got, just so I make sure you're right. Oh, will I be able to have the occasional, takeaway and off-plan meal? I was like, of course. And straight away, I knew where she was getting at. She was coming from the mindset that, oh, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm probably going to have to starve myself on foods I don't like. Just because that's all the media and the nutrition game in general has pushed down people's throats for the last, since the 70s, since nutrition and kind of exercise became mainstream, really, because, back in the day, gyms and exercise didn't exist. If you said to our grandparents, I'm going to the gym, they would have been like, what's that? You know what I mean? So
what are you doing?
It's only been 40, 50 years, maybe not even that people have actually pursued health as a goal. And it's still only, I would say now, as 2020, things are just starting to come out at how you can actually do this. And I think that's crazy that people have been trying to diet and lose fat on terrible information, and that actually fills me with
Yeah.
to know that there's people who have probably tried and failed multiple diets many times and never achieved the body that they ever want and live
Exactly.
happy because they just didn't know basic stuff like this. And how simple that, it breaks me heart to know that it's something as simple as this has stopped them from ever living the life that they're comfortable with, you know. So
yeah, I mean, exactly like you say. I mean, it's crazy to think that all of these fad diets go around. They cost people loads of money, loads of time. Yet I made that spaghetti bolognese in 20 minutes. It probably cost us about 70 pence to make that meal, like literally 70 pence to make the whole meal. It's something I'm making tonight actually to prep for me meals this week, because it's a really good staple dish, like you say, to have in your toolbox. And I think, like you say, like it's not cool anymore to not care about your health. Like at the end of the day, I did suffer, and I still do, majorly with panic attacks, because I just have a major part of my anxiety is death. I'm just terrified of dying. And I think, especially looking back now, I feel a lot more confident in knowing that the foods that I'm eating, you know, like I say, it's not cool to not care about your health anymore. It's so important. Like, so many people die of heart disease, liver failure, and it's one of the biggest killers, where we're, you know, told, you know, by the media and by the government that other things are killing. When at the end of the day, I mean, I read this book a couple of weeks ago. It was an American author, but he was saying he was so surprised. When he was younger, his nana had heart disease, and she was told, you've only got a couple more weeks to live, blah blah blah. And she actually changed her diet to a plant-based diet, which was obviously a huge commitment, and it was in that circumstance. And she ended up living for like an extra 10 years, and then just by adding additional vegetables, etc. But then that inspired him to become a doctor. He went to medical school, and he was so surprised that Americans don't learn about nutrition at med school. They don't learn about it.
Learn about it at school.
You learn about drugs and pharmaceutical because that's what makes the money. So I think we have to, unfortunately, because we're not taught it, which is an absolute disgrace, we have to go out and learn it ourselves. And I think, especially for me with my anxiety and the kind of fears that I have and the panic attacks I have things over, now knowing that my body's healthy and, you know, just knowing that, it sets me mind at rest so much more with other things that I was worrying about, you know, seeing the rate of heart disease, liver failure, all that stuff. Just general health, I think, is massive. And, you know, you can eat all of these foods that are on my Instagram, like pancakes with Kinder chocolate on. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is something I have pretty much every week. Every Saturday I have pancakes, and I have
less
some
than
chocolate
500
on.
calories. If you went to Love Lily and got something like that, you're looking at 2,000 calories.
Yeah. And they're delicious. They're so nice. And you can, like I say, the stack of pancakes itself is around 300 calories. It's literally just oats, banana, an egg, and some baking soda, and then you can
Just
add
being
in what you
mindful, isn't
like.
it? Just being
Yeah,
mindful of
it's
the
just
options.
and just making it work for you. Like, I wanted chocolate that day, so I had some low calorie pancakes, and those little Kinder bars, they're like 70 calories per bar. The macros on them are actually really quite good. So in terms of hitting your fats and your carbs. So it's just being mindful and caring about yourself enough to care about what you're putting in your body, not only for how you look, but like you say, if you eat good, you'll feel good.
You will. So what about two other things that
good doesn't always mean loads of vegetables. Yeah.
I know. You're
So
totally right.
so definitely staple foods was a huge thing. Also, in terms of pre-planning my meals, so especially now that I'm going back to work, in
you
the office this
can't be
week.
spending 2 hours on the app, can't you?
No. I mean, I've had the luxury of being able to do so, but the power of prepping your meals, and for me personally, I won't be prepping on a Sunday for the rest of the week. That's just not the kind of thing that I'll do. But the night before is something that I definitely will do, because I don't really go out. I've got the time. It's, you know, it's something I'll do the night before. But even just having that bit of preparation the night before, and knowing that you're solid for the next day, you'll go to bed with like confidence, knowing that tomorrow's going to be a good day, and you've planned it. You know what you're going to hit. You know how you're going to hit, and you're going to eat things that you like as well. So planning, definitely, staple foods, and also learning about alcohol is my third. I didn't have a clue.
That was huge. I think a lot of people got a bit of messages personally like, Sam, what the fuck? It just blew my mind. I was like, well,
It was especially the metabolism, like it makes so much sense that it damages it so much in terms of like in the short term.
Yeah, it's not permanent damage, but
but in
literally
terms of
your metabolism for the time that it takes to get the alcohol out of your system. So if you're, going out on a night out, having absolutely loads of calories, because we touched on it last week inside My Fitness Pal, like, I think it was 280 calories in a Cotterberg, and think about some of these cocktails that that people like to go out and drink. Some of them are like 500 calories. You'd probably be in there yourself. You've had like 10 cocktails in a day, haven't you? I know. On holiday, think about it. So you've blunted your metabolism. You've just put 5,000 calories worth of alcohol, and the next day you are so hungover. You got a Domino's and had a McDonald's.
Yeah.
No wonder you can't lose weight. And then 5 days where you starve yourself on 1,000 calories to try and make up for it, it doesn't even work anyway because the maths is off. And it's so sad to know that people are in this lifestyle. So the three things that you touched on there, obviously staple foods are great because, like I said, you can't spend ages on the app because it will put you off. You will end up just putting it down and saying it's too hard. So yes, tracking from scratch and kind of making your own meals and fitting it here and there, it works well. And if you like to do that, cool. But if you're a normal person who's got no hours and other responsibilities, the chances are you're not going to want to be able to spend ages on the app. So you've got to get the basics with staple foods, just like what you put in there when you're like, you know what, I can make a meal out of 5% mince pasta with a bit of veg, tin tomatoes. You could prep for the week, couldn't you? You could make meals in 20 minutes. The time it took you to do one serving, you could have done 5 pre-portioned them up, freezed it through. There's meals, and you can just go on My Fitness Pal. What was one serving? Right, I'm logging that for the next couple of days.
Yeah, it just makes life so much easier.
And all simple as that. So staple foods is key. Obviously, alcohol, that does blow people's mind. Now, you know what my stance on that. I'd say I personally don't drink because it lowers my state, and I work very long hours on a weekend. Saturdays and Sundays are crazy. Like, what did I do? I done 18 calls back to back yesterday, walking around. Got 15,000 steps and done 18 coaching calls. Wow. And on a Saturday, I've done 90 check-ins, 90 client check-ins on a Saturday. So if I go out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, there's no way I've got the energy to be able to do that. So basically, that's why I don't drink. However, for other people, and they like it, I get it. It's a social occasion. You want to relax with your partner. Just be mindful of the calories. You know yourself.
Yeah.
It's numbers. Do you need to go out and get absolutely bladdered? If you do, then you're probably going to have to accept that you probably won't make much progress that week. But it's all right if it's once a month. If it's once every
definitely, yeah.
Every week, you're going around in circles. I mean, I don't know about you, Georgia, but from the age of 16 to 22, I want to say, every single week I was down shields. Every week.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and like you say, it's the mindlessness as well, because I was up until February when I started it, my life revolved around going out, and it's crazy to sit and say it now, because again, if I went back, I would have never thought it. But I don't drink anymore either. Yeah. It's something I did have to cut out, because if I didn't cut it out, I wasn't hitting my goals. But I think also people forget how bad alcohol actually is for you in terms of mental health, etc. It's a depressant at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So limiting it is never a bad thing. I mean, like, I'm going out at the weekend for the first time in ages, and I probably will have a couple of drinks, but nowhere near the amount that I used to. And I can obviously know that I've got a balanced lifestyle now, and I won't feel terrible about it. I won't I won't binge drink, nothing like that. So I think having a bit of self-discipline with that as well, because it can obviously become a bigger issue than just your diet. I think especially in our area, I think it's a huge, ridiculous thing. That's massive. And I think a lot of people suffer at the hands of it in terms of their mental health.
Don't want to admit it, but yes, nutrition and over consumption of alcohol, 2 of the biggest issues. Combine that with social media and comparing yourself to others, you've just got 3 reasons why young people suffer with mental health.
Yeah.
Basically, is it social media, comparing yourself to others, trying to live up to this fancy celeb lifestyle, bad nutrition, and too much alcohol.
Yeah. Which is everything I was doing before. So yeah, but like I say, like I think especially if it's all right for me, because my partner, he's in the Marines, so he doesn't drink either. So but obviously for other people, especially if you're a bit younger, or maybe got to that stage in your life, where your kids are older and you're going out a bit more now, it's just knowing like what you're drinking. Like a few months ago, I went to a barbecue and I think I pre-planned to have 3 or 4 gins. I put them in my diary for the Saturday,
There
and I
you go.
had it,
So
and
made
I
progress.
did it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And it was fine. I really enjoyed myself. I
Yeah.
wasn't worried. I'd accounted for them. And I think the thing is though, the discipline you learn with like calorie counting and changing your nutrition, it'll also show discipline in other parts of your life,
100%.
like
Because you've
so
increased your
especially alcohol.
confidence. You've
Yeah,
increased your confidence in every area, so every area of your life improves.
yeah, 100%.
So, last question, really, Georgia, before we wrap this up.
Wow.
Let's go over some diet hacks, and I could even potentially get my fitness pal up while you're talking. So, what's your
Yes.
top low-calorie products that people need to slot in their diet today that they've maybe not noticed? I tell you what, I'm going to start off because I see it on that pizza, something that I've heard about, but I've never actually had the pleasure of getting it. So, what is
Okay.
this low dough? What's this?
Right. It's actually really good and not too
I'm following them.
expensive either. I think I paid £4 for 2 wraps, which, you know, it's quite expensive, but if you're having a pizza once a week, it's a lot cheaper than ordering a Domino's. So there's no excuse basically. But I think they've got these, you can use them for wraps, you can use them for pizzas, you can use them for desserts. But basically the wraps have 32 calories in them and I think 2 grams of carbs,
Wow.
which is insane for a pizza base. And they actually taste really nice. Now, don't get us wrong, it doesn't taste like a Domino's, but just the idea of having a pizza on a Friday night, and you can pop it when you've got.
There's a good photo.
Yeah, and when you've got that 30-calorie base, the stuff that you can put on top of it, you wouldn't even imagine. You could literally fill that pizza to the brim and then still have 200-300 calories left for some sweet potato fries, for some ice cream. Do you know what I mean? They're really good. So, but obviously, if you don't want to order them, they are a little bit more expensive. Another thing I love is tortilla wraps.
Yeah, they're pretty low. What,
bases.
22 carbs in a tortilla wrap, something like that?
Yeah, and I think around 120-30 calories you can get them for, which isn't too bad at all. And obviously for toppings, I use 30% less fat cheese. You get it from Asda. It's really cheap, and it just means that you can fill yourself up and stick within those numbers. So definitely either tortilla wraps for pizzas, or obviously wraps. It's in itself like a wrap with cheese and chicken in is unreal. So
I know.
Yeah, that's a good hack of mine. It's something that it's really good to look forward to as well. I think even though all of these foods are good and they're fine, giving yourself that sort of novelty of having a pizza on the weekend, or you know, making like a low calorie Sunday dinner, you've still got the old kind of lifestyle that you had in some ways, so you're not, you know, just living day to day. You've got something to look forward to.
Still have that occasion, but understand that you're not messing up your progress is huge, because that's one thing that stops people from following a diet, which is one of the main units in this program. Week 3 was about how to manage social occasions. You know, you still want to be able to go on cinema dates. You still want to be able to have a drink if you want. You still want to be able to make a pizza with your partner and have a fake away, you know, without ruining your progress and without feeling guilty. There's so many people, they'll eat takeaways regularly and have this, and they'll just think, they just give up because they don't know an alternative. And it's like the value comfort more than that. It's like, well, you don't have to do that. There is a way you can have both. You can make progress and have these social occasions where you're eating nice, tasty food. And if you crack that, you will.
Sorted. Diet hacks are my favorite thing in the world.
So talk us through some diet hacks. So I've got my fitness pal ready just to show the guys of some new.
I'll just get me Instagram up. I think a huge one, if you're a bread lover, thins of any sort. So Warburton's bagel thins, 100 calories. Just their normal thins. If you want to make a sandwich or, you know, a sausage sandwich, you can have it in a thin. They're about 100 calories, and the fit into your macro was really nice.
100 per thin, so you could essentially make a sandwich or anything. 100 calories, 20 carbs. This is pretty much close to nothing fat, a little bit of protein. 100 calories for a thin. Whereas if you had a slice of bread, that would be 100 calories, wouldn't it?
Well, even so, if you think when you're making a sandwich, you're using at least 2 slices of bread, aren't you? So you're talking 230 calories, if not more, in bread. So thins are a huge thing for me.
You can make a great change. You can have the same meal technically, but just making a better choice can half the calories. That's huge, you know. So there's a great product. What else you got?
So especially there's a really good low calorie squirty cream at Asda.
Light.
Yeah, or you can get the Asda own brand, which is a little bit cheaper. So I have that quite often with fruit. It just gives, like, if you want to get your fruit in, your vitamins and things like that, putting a bit of squirty cream on a plate with some fruit is like one of the nicest
Yeah.
snacks you
How
can
much do you
have. Really
normally have?
good.
How much do you normally have when you have this
Let
squirty
us have a
cream?
look. So it's
Because
about, sorry.
you want a decent amount, don't you? You don't just want to like
Oh
you
yeah,
want a half a
yeah,
bowl at
that's
least.
serving there. So
Yeah.
12.5 grams. I don't know if you can see. Wait, let's see if I can show you. It's like that pot there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's only 59 calories. So really, if you've got, you know, for men, or if you've got a higher calorie intake, or you just want to have a bit more that day, it's cream at the end of the day. Like it's so nice. It
I
tastes
know.
exactly the same to me.
It does.
And you can have loads of it if you want it. You can have a whole bowl full. So
I
it's
know.
it's
I
good.
know.
Obviously you've mentioned before, like, all kinds of low calorie ice cream. Obviously you've got the
Yeah.
Halo Top, but
Halo Top.
Asda
What's
do
your
a
favourite
cheaper
flavour?
one.
Halo Top, Georgia. What's your favourite
I like
flavour?
the peanut butter.
Yeah.
Birthday cake's a really nice one. They do red velvet,
I was
chocolate
going to say Red
brownie.
Velvet is the boy. Red Velvet is
Unreal,
amazing.
really nice.
But yeah, Halo
But
Top.
obviously it is
uh,
like it's like £5 a tub. So I think a lot of the supermarkets have started doing their own. Asda have
I,
got some really good ones.
they
So
do
Asda have
them at
got
half the
a
price.
Halo. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
one container and a Halo Top, right? So Ben and Jerry's, we'll just do a quick comparison after, right? Ben and Jerry's have got a peanut butter cup, haven't they? So
Yeah.
in a Halo Top ice cream, and how close does it taste to Ben and Jerry's? It's not far off.
It's
It's
so
not
nice.
far off. It's not far
It's
off.
really nice.
11 fat, 64 carbs is a little high, but if let's say if you had a low carb meal to be able to have a high carb snack for afters, it's well worth it. You know, most people could fit 64 grams of carbs in if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, and that's like for a huge tub as well. Like if you look
Oh,
at
yeah.
this,
Size of a Ben and Jerry's.
you can see all that ice cream there came to 71 calories, and it's like 3 big scoops. So if you're just thinking it, like you say, it tastes unreal. You would never know the difference. Especially when you get into it and you're getting the positives from it as well. It's really good.
Oh, there you go. So there's the equivalent of a Ben and Jerry's peanut
Wow.
butter cup, a full tub, 1,400 calories, 96 grams of fat, 108 grams of carbs. So that's over your potential calories for the day at this moment in time.
That's my whole calorie intake.
1,400. Yeah, so you can see by making a change from going from Ben and Jerry's, which is classed as a dirty food, you can get Halo Top and have a full tub, and it's literally
Guilt free.
it's 1,100 calories less. It might be as well as guilt free. So things like that, it just shows you could fit that into a healthy lifestyle plan and still drop body fat, eating ice cream every day if you wanted to.
100%.
Give her one more then. Give her one more product.
Oh, let's find a good one. So, what's if you like meat? Like if you like to have a fry up, my favorite meal is a fry up. I have one every weekend. I have pancakes on a Saturday and a fry up on a Sunday. Asda, yeah, that one there's fine on the left. Yeah, right. So that bacon's from Asda. It's 30% less fat, and for 2 rashers, it's 64 calories.
So what's the is it bacon medallions or is it just reduced fat bacon?
It's called reduced fat smoked bacon medallions from Asda. You'll be able to find it, and the macros, the protein is insane, and like I say, you could have 6 rashers of bacon for like 1,800 calories, which is it's mental. 180, not 1,800.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, so there's 3 examples from what you've said. Swapping squirty cream as a little treat, taking away all of those calories from the full fat cream. Amazing. You couldn't believe it. Like 6 months ago, if I told you, you can have that in a day, but like, what?
No.
Ben and Jerry's, swapping Ben and Jerry's for Halo Top. Amazing. People think bacon sandwiches are unhealthy. You could have let's just do it. What do you normally have when you have a bacon sandwich? Is it 2 of them and then a thin?
Yeah, so I'd have 2 of them, a thin, and you know what? I'd even add like I've got 50% less salt and sugar Heinz ketchup. A 15-gram serving of that is 10 calories.
Yeah, I wouldn't even track that, to be honest.
Exactly. I know I'm trying to get in the habit of not tracking stuff like that now. That's another thing I'm going on to.
Yeah,
but also Asda do Asda do 30% less fat cheese slice. And for a cheese slice, you can get one for 30 calories. So I'd probably have like bacon sandwich, 2 or 3 medallions in a thin with a cheese slice, obviously melted on top, and some tomato sauce. And you're talking like not even 300 calories, I don't think.
What's the cheese slice? I'll just add it together so you can see what you could have.
Let's
What's it
have a
called?
look and see if I can get it up. It's Asda's own brand, so it's
Just the cheesy slices.
lighter cheese slice. It's like called lighter.
Yeah, probably about 50 calories or so. Is that it? Light slice choice? Cheese slice? Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. I think they're around 38 calories though, you know.
Hold on.
I'm trying to find one on me page. Should be someone.
Lighter cheese slice as that one slice, 41 calories, that'll be it.
Yeah.
There you go. So a bacon and cheese sandwich, right? People would say that's a terrible breakfast. 210 calories,
Wow.
45 protein. Look at the protein.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I love that, right?
Yeah.
2 medallions, 38 protein. I don't think that's right, you know.
Let's have a look at mine, because
I think that's it's a bit high in protein, but it'll not be that high. It can't be that high. Because 38 grams of protein is more than 69 calories.
let's find one of mine.
Yeah, someone's just probably logged it incorrectly, that's all, but it'll probably be half of that.
Yeah, so for 2 seconds, for 3 medallions, it's 27 grams, so it can't be 38 for 2. But still, like 20 for 3 little medallions, 27 grams of protein.
The calories are right. Someone's just put 38 when they do the database rather than 27 or whatever it is. But the calories are right. 210 calories. Amazing, you know, for a bacon sandwich.
For a bacon sandwich. And like, if I had that, I would probably then have like a coffee. I would have some yogurt, some fruit. You're talking a big breakfast there. And loads of room to play with as well. So it's good. Things like that are brilliant.
That's one of my top tips. Not particularly that lolly, but I've got me and my girlfriend love lollies. So Fab lollies, they're about 50 calories. Rockets are about 30. Sugar-free ice pops, some of them are like I'll get these Vimto ones from Aldi. I'm sure they're like 14 calories in an ice pop. Ice pops are great TV snacks, I like to call them, because of a diet. Have your staples, so have your meals like what you've made with that spaghetti bolognese. You know that you can prep and bulk, that'll fit your numbers. You can pretty much do it without even trying. You know it fits. And have your regular go-to snacks, like you said, and keep them for the night time so you can have that. Because people like to eat on a night time. It's watching telly. It's that habit that we mentioned right at the start of this video. That habit of reaching for food while you're kind of watching telly, while you're having a social occasion. You don't have to limit yourself on that. You can still do it. Just make better choices. You know. We could sit here all day, Georgia, and go back and forth about all this food instead of that. We could literally do it for 2 hours straight.
Oh, I'd enjoy that as well.
Just give you 3 options there. That's very easy. But I implore you out there to go in and research this and just play about with it, because one day you will be as knowledgeable as what you are, Georgia, and you know, potentially what I am, because you know I've obviously learned this at nutrition at university.
Yeah, well, it's your life and your livelihood. You know what I mean? And I think, like you say, that is your life, and it's what you've made a job out of. It's what you love. For people who don't, it's not hard. It really isn't. Like the ice creams are literally right next to each other in Asda. You've got Ben and Jerry's there, and you've got Halo Top there, and it's just reaching for the right decision. It's not hard.
Could be the difference between you wanting to have an ice cream and a pizza on a weekend, choosing a Domino's and a tub of Ben and Jerry's, versus making your own with that low dough or a tortilla pizza with your partner or whatever, and having a tub of Halo Top. Could be the difference between you burning body fat and you staying the same, staying miserable, staying unhappy, staying low in confidence.
It's the difference between changing your whole entire life, Sam. Like it literally is. And I think especially, like, I've even thought in terms of, obviously I wasn't brought up on a good diet. I was brought up on takeaways, fast food. I've even thought in terms of, in the way future, when I have kids, I will make those decisions, because I think if you've got 2 things in front of you, if you've got less fat something or full fat something, why wouldn't you choose the less fat? Do you know what I mean? Apart from when you're out and you maybe want for taste reasons or whatever. But from experience, I can say to everyone now, you won't taste half of the difference. You really won't. It's not that big a deal. You'll feel just as satisfied, and you'll change your life in terms of your results. You really will. It's tiny little things like that.
I think we've just all been brainwashed from a young age to be unhealthy with our habits. And you mentioned it before, you know, the pharmaceutical industry and the health industry, they make money off that. So
make a lot of money.
Understand that governments and these people who are in power, they don't necessarily care about your health. So it's up to you, it's up to everyone listening to this right now, to take responsibility for your own health, because that'll improve your life, not just physically, but mentally as well.
Yeah, 100%.
The last thing I ask, Georgia, rate this program out of 10.
Oh, 10. Like I say, honestly, if I'd had this as a tool when I first started, I would like I say, I wouldn't have had the journey that I've had, but it would have been a lot easier. You just just take the time to learn about it, and it'll make your life so much easier, and it'll be much more enjoyable. So I think I don't know of any other programs like this that you know
there's no
you don't have the intimidation of you don't have to send in any photos, you don't have to necessarily share your weight unless you want Sam to give you your macros, etc. All you have to do is watch the videos and learn, and you'll just learn so much and take so much from it, and then like I say, the tiny little things that you have to do are minuscule in the grand scheme of things to change your life and change your way of thinking as well. So I think I've said to a few people, if I could have done this program at the start, 100% it would be the best £47 I'd ever spent. And it even is now, like 6 months later, I'm still learning so much that it's only in the past 3 weeks the macros have really come into play, and I've been able to focus on nutrition rather than just because don't get us wrong, there were days when I would fill my calories with I would have one of those bacon sandwiches on a morning, I would maybe have too much chocolate, but I wouldn't go over my calories. I'd stop eating. So it's knowing as well what's good and what's dense and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's simple, and I think, like you say, people aren't taught it enough. So 10 out of 10.
One last question, Georgia. What's your future goals then? Just because people obviously love to be inspired, and you inspire me. So I want to hear what your goals is. Let's say we're having this conversation 6 months from now. What have you achieved?
I want. Basically, I've lost 2 stone now since February, and like I say, I was never particularly overweight. I was never really fat. But I certainly wasn't skinny for my height and things like that. I wasn't in a good way at all. I think I'm coming to the end of that now. I probably want to lose, not even in terms of scales, but if I had to put a number on it, maybe 5-6 more pounds. I then want to get to maintenance, sort of ticking along, but at the same time I do kind of want to stop using MyFitnessPal, and I'm obviously building up the knowledge now to know portion sizes and restrictions and things like that are going to allow us to live my life happily and healthily and balanced without having to log everything into an app, which is great, because once you know how to learn how to use the app, it's an app inside your head in itself. So definitely that, and obviously focusing more on nutrition in terms of health rather than physical appearance, like your insides, and also just to be a lot stronger. I'm not very strong at all. Like I say, I've just started weight training, and the protein intake's definitely helped. I just want to be stronger, healthier, and just more aware without having to focus. A diet is a diet at the end of the day. You can't sugarcoat it. I mean, I've been in a calorie deficit since February, and I'm probably going to be in one for a couple more months. And I'm just so grateful that we've learned so much, so that I know that I'll never go back to how I was, because like I say, it's my lifestyle now. It's not a diet, and it doesn't have to be a diet for anyone else either.
Nah, amazing. Well, Georgia, that wraps us up, really. I just want to say thank you for coming on. I know the people who've watched this, especially live, will be sitting there buzzing, because they'll be able to relate to everything you said so much. And I think you've just probably capped off. Obviously, we've got the Q&A Friday, which we'll go over. But we've pretty much just capped off everything nicely and give people the path to know that, right? What we've learned, we can put this into practice and we can get real results just like Georgia has. Last thing I'm going to say, Georgia, what size T-shirt are you? So I'm going to give you one of these.
T-shirt. Oh, how's the sizing? I like a bit oversized.
Probably it's a tight fit, I think, a slim fit.
So maybe a medium, do you think? Oh, actually, no, just do a small. I'll wear it to the gym.
Small. Motivation to get that extra £6 off, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to fit into that.
Right, I'll get that to you. So thank you for coming on, because it's.
Oh, no, but I've really enjoyed it. I don't really get a chance to talk to people about it quite often, so I've really enjoyed it. So thank you for having us. I've really liked it.
Amazing. Well, I will let you go then and enjoy your night, because you said you've got some spaghetti bolognese to make.
I'm going to have my tea now.
Don't make sure you put it on Instagram.
I will.
Right,
Cheers, I'll see you later.
I'll see everyone else on Friday. We'll organise the Q&A. You're coming on live, aren't you, Georgia? So we'll do a bit of coaching then, and I'll see everyone else there. And we'll finish with a bang, and we'll get some great targets set for the next stage of your journey. But thank you to all those who showed up live. Thank you to you, Georgia, as well, for coming on. And I'm sure everyone else who catches up will benefit from this a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll speak to you guys on Friday. I'll see you later, Georgia.
Thanks, Sam. See you later.
Bye.